Hello, Duncan here for another video. So, sorry this one's taken a bit longer to come out than I said it was, but there is a reason and I'll be getting to that in a second. Now, this is a continuation to my original review for Co-op Live, so if you haven't seen that yet, please go and watch that. There'll be a link in the description. So please watch that, and it gives you a bit of context behind what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, Co-op Live is the new arena here in Manchester. It is situated on Etihad campus, right next to Etihad Stadium and the tram stop and the canal. So it's a bit further out than the other arena we have here in Manchester, which is the AO Arena. Used to be called the MEN, the Phones for You, Manchester Arena for a short amount of time. So it's had quite a few different names, but it is the AO Arena now. So I saw Take That at the Co-op Live Arena. The review I did previously was when I went to go watch Barry Manilow there, and that was not that long into opening. It was actually its opening week that I went to go and see Barry Manilow. So it's given them a bit of time to basically get ready, and it was nearly a month between when I saw Barry Manilow and when I saw Take That. So I was expecting quite a few changes. I was expecting it to be nearly finished. It was not. So let me start with the customer experience when arriving. Now, I arrived at Take That earlier because for Take That I had the Backstage Club. Now, the Backstage Club is a bit like the Heineken Skyline at AO Arena. So it's an upcharge area, it's a separate bar, but unlike the Heineken Skyline bar, which is just bar and toilets, the Backstage Club also has a food stall, and it's also got space eventually for a cloakroom. That was not finished yet, but I'll get to that in a second. And it has a separate merch stand. So it's basically a miniature concourse all in one area. And you can go there an hour and a half before the main doors open. Before the main doors open. So if the main doors open at 6:30, that's 5:30. In the case of Take That, that's what it was. So we got there for 5:30, so we could basically enjoy the Backstage Club as much as possible. It's £30 per person, and yeah, we wanted to make the most of it. So we got there, you have a separate entrance for the Backstage Club, takes you straight into it. You've got security and the ticket barriers, exactly like any of the other entrances. It's got a walk-through security system, and then it's got the ticket barriers instead of a person checking a ticket. So really, really good. But first impressions when I arrived for the Backstage Club were not great. So I arrived at 5 o'clock. I know the doors only opened at 5:30, but I arrived at 5 o'clock just to see what was happening around there. There were a few things happening in the area, so it was quite busy at that time. But yeah, so I walked along Canal Side, and the Canal Side bar opened at around about 5 o'clock. So Canal Side bar, which is accessible from inside the 100 level, it's also open to the public. On the outside, there's glass doors that they basically open, little shutters, and they can sell to the outside. So if you've arrived early, you can go and get a drink there, sit on the canal side having a drink, or you can take your drink into the queue with you. That's also allowed. So saw canal side, I didn't get anything. That was pretty nice. And this was the first time I was walking around that side of the building. When I went to Barry Manilow, I went through door D, so it was straight down from the tram stop. So this was the first time I walked around, because if you're in the backstage club, you enter through door G, which is the direct entry to the backstage club. You have to go through that door, otherwise you don't get your wristband and drink voucher. Now, the wristband is one of these plastic ones that you get for most VIP experiences. Really, really annoying. It doesn't need to be plastic nowadays. We can have paper, because, come on, it's not good. These, for most of the time, will go straight into landfill. I'd much rather see paper than a plastic band. Not many people are like me who would collect them. But anyway, so yeah, so I walked around the building and impressions were not great. So they're still installing things to their displays. So basically they've got a sign, which these box signs, which basically have directions to which door you need, where to go, and they've got a screen above, and I'm guessing that's eventually going to play whatever's on the big wraparound screen on the top of the building. They are still not switched on. There's also no street lights. They don't have any permanent lighting around the area. So they've got these, if you've ever been to Alton Towers over Scarefest, you'll understand what I'm talking about, the generator lights. So these big tower lights with a generator. So they're using those to illuminate around the arena at the moment, because they don't have permanent lighting, which isn't great. It's not the best yet. Really, they need to get that sorted. I'm not so keen on that. But anyway. So, I get round to door G. This is where it all becomes a nightmare. So, door G, there are no staff by this door. There's staff at all the other doors except for this one. There's just a group of people waiting in a small little cattle pen. There's no security, there's no stewards, nothing. There was no one to speak to. And when you think that this is one of their upcharge VIP areas, you'd expect, and the fact it's opening in half an hour, you'd expect there to be staff there to speak to people, to basically say, yeah, you're in the right place, don't worry, we're not open just yet, but we will be soon. Stuff like that. You expect that. You don't expect... My cat is meowing. Let me let her out. So you don't expect there to be no one at a VIP upcharge. You don't. It's not good. What makes it even worse is you're right by the staff entrance. So the staff entrance is right there. And the biggest problem with that is you're stood, no staff members there to tell you what is happening, and there's all these people walking past you, all these staff members, and they won't speak to anyone because they're not clocked in yet. So they're just not going to say anything. Because we're in a world at the moment where, oh, I'm not working yet, I'm not going to help. It really annoys me. But it's not great. Plus, they obviously either didn't think to install, or they're broken, fridges within the arena. So they've got a temporary wire fence with outdoor freezers and fridges. So you're stood at this VIP entrance for their backstage club. I know it's not the official VIP experience entrance, but it's the backstage club, their VIP entrance. And you've got basically these fridges and freezers, and people are getting things in these big trolleys and walking past. It doesn't look good. It really doesn't. This is so bad, especially when it's going up to £40. some people are saying it's going up to 50 for some shows. I think people were saying it's 55, 60 pounds when Paul McCartney plays there. This is a lot of money. And to see those kind of things and then to be blanked by people and have no staff members there to help you isn't good. And that's a reoccurring thing about the Backstage Club. But I'm doing this in chronological order, so we'll get back to the Backstage Club a bit later, because there's one part that would make the Backstage Club fantastic. I'm now in the Backstage Club, having a great time. It's really good. You get a drink, food you have to pay for. There's a DJ. It's a really fun vibe. It's fantastic. Really, really nice in there. I'm going to put in some photos. So yeah, it was really, really good in there. I'm not going to lie, but it's nowhere near finished again. And you'd expect the Backstage Club to be exactly like the level, the 200 level. So that's the atrium bar and all of that, which are the other VIP experiences. You would expect those areas to have been completed first, so that they are basically 100%, and then you focus on the rest of the building. That feels like it was not the case. The food stall is meant to be like, the Backstage Club is sold to be like the Northern Quarter. They literally say it's their take on the Northern Quarter. It's meant to feel like you're on a night out in the Northern Quarter here in Manchester, but it doesn't. They say it's meant to feel like you're having cuisine, like the Northern Quarter, so all these different foods. It's not like that. There were burgers and pies and hot dogs, what you can get everywhere else. They don't even have a proper counter. It's all these like pie ovens on wheels and stuff like that. And yeah, the food stand is just not installed yet. The bar was fine. The audio system was fine. There were a few cables hanging from the ceiling. I saw one speak-on cable, so there's obviously yet another speaker that still needs to be installed for the DJ system. Why is that not being installed? It's been open a month. Come on. The cloakroom, the sign for the cloakroom's there. It's all boarded up. So there's no cloakroom, and then there's meant to also be another food stall, or I could also be one of these Co-op stores that they have in the other areas of the building. That was also still boarded up, so not the best. And what makes it worse is the way Co-op Live is designed. Now, you've got the bowl right in the centre, and then you've got the walkway around, like AO. So basically, Co-op Backstage is on the 100 level, and you've got doors at either end of the Backstage Club, because basically what they've done is, when I did the last one, I had those, the last review, I had those photos of a whole boarded up section on level 300. Backstage Club is basically that area. They've just put doors on either side, and they don't allow people in unless you have the wristband. That's all that is. The biggest problem with that is it's the walkway. So what happened was staff who had to get to the other side, instead of walking the long way round, they would walk through the Backstage Club. So they were having these trolleys that I said had all of this produce in, going to the like the food stalls and everything, ready to sell for the show, because this was an hour before the doors open. And they were bringing these trolleys through the Backstage Club when you've got patrons already there. These are people who have paid £30. Yes, I know it's not a lot, but that's how much you pay for the Heineken Skyline at AO. They've paid £30. They don't want to see frozen chicken strip, boxes of frozen chicken strips and cases of Co-op sandwiches coming through their area. You don't expect that. It's not. It's so infuriating because I know that is not how it's meant to be done. So it really infuriates me when I see that happening. The supervisors are not controlling it. Staff will always cut corners. They'll be like, oh, I can't be bothered walking around the long way. I'm just going to cut through the backstage club. I know I'm not meant to, but I don't care. The supervisors should be ensuring that that doesn't happen. Plus, the doors at either end of the backstage club have glass. You can look through. You know it's not open yet, but instead of just saying, sorry, the rest of the building isn't open yet, can you just stay in here? You've got 2 security guards and all they do is yell at you, you can't come here. Okay. You could just say, so at the moment it's just the backstage club open. The rest of the building will be open in about an hour. So if you just hang tight in here, we should open the rest in an hour. Instead of being kind, just bellowing no entry or you can't go here is not the best. Patrons don't know that. The people there, unless they've been there before, won't know they can't go through those doors. So just be kind. Just say, sorry, you can't go through here just yet. That's all you have to say. It's just manners were lacking. The rest of the staff in the backstage club, fantastic. The bar staff, amazing, really friendly. I was having great chats with them. Really, really nice. But that was the backstage club. Now, onto the arena itself. So, the hour hits, I walk through the double doors, this time security not yelling at me, now saying, oh yeah, welcome to Co-op. Instant attitude change, but anyway. So I walk through, level 100 is exactly the same as last time, no changes, it's all looking okay. The hole in the cladding was still there a month later. This is getting ridiculous. I get up to level 300, walk around. Now in level 300, they're at least using the permanent lighting on the walkways. It's no longer those temporary lights. They're still there, but they're not switched on. They're now using permanent lights. And yeah, the whole area behind the stage is still all boarded up. I only know that because that's where you go up if you're in the backstage club. As you leave the backstage club, there's escalators up. So I saw, yeah, I saw that it's all still boarded up. Yeah, I walked around level 300. It's still got wires dangling. There's still these temporary electrical boxes. It's ridiculous. We're a month in now. The fact that these things aren't sorted yet is just... There's no excuse anymore. You can't excuse it. It's been a month. These things shouldn't be there anymore. There shouldn't be these problems. They've had long enough to sort it. But getting to the Arena Bowl, this time round I was, as you start going around the corner, and I was right on the front, basically front row, because what happens in the 2 side, as you go around the corner, the 2 blocks on the side, they've got rows, I think it's row 8 upwards. There's then a gap where it's basically a sheer wall, an access level, an access platform, so wheelchairs, people who can't use stairs, anyone like that can sit there. And then it's the blocks, rows 1 to 4 at the very bottom. So if you're in row 8, I think it was, I was in, you've basically got no one in front of you. It's like you're at the front. It's a really, really nice seat. And unlike AO, the banister is quite low down in Co-op, so it doesn't spoil your view at all. So it's really a nice seat. The Arena Bowl, exactly the same as Barry Manilow. Fantastic. The audio quality was phenomenal. At least this time it was a show. Take That. This life has a lot of lighting effects and that. So it was really bright from the stage. So those blue lights on the stairs, you couldn't see those at all. And they were drowned out by the lighting from the Take That stage. What also kind of helped is Take That, this life is meant to be like a TV show in recording. You're meant to be like a live TV show audience. So they actually had the 100 level and the floor seats all illuminated throughout the show, which was really quite a clever effect. This was only because they were filmed the whole evening, so the whole concert was filmed by Take That, so I'm expecting a DVD soon, fingers crossed. But yeah, the Arena Bowl is exactly like it was for Barry Manilow. Absolutely fantastic. I've still got a problem with the seats. They are quite narrow. The armrests are basically unusable. The cup holders in them, you put a pint glass in, you're going to knock it by accident. You can't stand up and sit down when there's a drink in the holder because otherwise you're going to knock it. They were a bad idea, but they are very comfortable seats. But those cup holders and armrests are just stupid. If it was just the armrest without the cup holder, I would be fine with it, but the cup holder is just pathetic. You can't use it. But anyway, that's the Arena Bowl. It was fine in there, exactly like last time. Great. Now, part of the Backstage Club, a lot of this is about the Backstage Club because I'm still so annoyed about it, and it's the reason why this video has been delayed. As part of the Backstage Club, you get access to it after the show. Now, that can go on basically for an hour, up to an hour after the show. It depends on the show. If it's a show that goes on quite late, the building does have a curfew of 11:30 p.m. So depending on the end of the show time, depends how long you have in the Backstage Club. So with, I think it was the Eagles that just played, they finished early. They finished at 9:45. So people had from 9:45 all the way through till 11:30 in the Backstage Club, and that was an after party. So the DJ comes back out, and it's basically a full-on after party. For our night of Take That, we got back to the Backstage Club, and we weren't allowed back in. There was security on both sides of the door saying, "No entry." We showed our wristbands. "No entry, we're closed." So everyone who had the Backstage Club was stood like, we were told this is open basically for an hour now because it was 10:30. Why is it closed? It's closed. That's all they kept on saying. So people obviously were getting quite annoyed. You paid. It's part of the experience. Why are you closed? And it's like, no one would give anyone an answer. So people started getting annoyed and they're like, well, I've paid for it. I want to go to the toilet that I've paid access to go to. I'm going. And people started pushing their own way through. Security started actually basically dragging people back out of the Backstage Club and towards the exits. It was a really bad end of the day, and it was really, really annoying. If it's not going to open, don't sell it that it opens after the show. And I know it says up to an hour, but what it should, an asterisk says, depending on curfew. I know the curfew time of that building. I've got multiple friends who work there. I saw quite a few of them whilst I was there. I even checked what time the curfew was for the building, so I would see if the Backstage Club was going to be open. And there was still an hour before curfew. Why was it closed? Well, I've emailed Co-op Live, And the reason why I've waited to make this video for so long is I was waiting for a reply. I've released this video now because I've still not got a reply. This is ridiculous. I paid money for an experience. I did not receive the full experience. I was sold a cloakroom. That's not built yet. I was sold, it's meant to feel like you're in the northern quarter with food to match what you would find in the northern quarter. That was not found. I was then also sold, oh, you're going to have a little after party. It may only be short. It could be only half an hour, but you're still going to have an after party. That didn't happen. Instead, we had security yelling at patrons to go away. It's not acceptable. If they knew it wasn't going to open, they should have told people on entry, sorry, due to unforeseen circumstances, the Backstage Club is not going to be open after the show today. Apologies. As a sign of, basically, to make it up, maybe everyone will get, I don't know, 50% off their second drink, or you get a free bag of crisps or a bag of sweets, or something like that, just to say, sorry, I know it's normally open, but for some reason today it's not going to be open, have this instead. I'm sure people would have been fine if they were told. Nobody told anyone anything. Miscommunication caused a lot of problems, and well, it basically caused a near riot. I'm sure this won't happen when the cloakroom eventually opens. Of course, people will put their coats in, so they'll have to allow you back in to get your coats. So we'll see what happens, but I'm still waiting on a reply from Co-op. It looks like I'm not going to get one, and that annoys me. But that was my experience of Co-op Live. It's a month on, and it's still a shambles. It was more of a shambles this time around than it was for Barry Manilow. It was a nightmare. The Backstage Club just left a sour taste to the evening. I would, at the moment, say stay clear of the Backstage Club. Don't get it. It's not worth it. It's a complete rip-off. They are scamming people with the Backstage Club. But anyway, that was a month on review of Co-op Live. Fingers crossed it gets better from here. Let's hope they sort out these problems, because it's letting them down. The Arena Bowl, the actual concert experience itself is phenomenal and unparalleled. It's just the front of house that is really letting them down. So hopefully they can get this all sorted. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really didn't want this to be a negative review, but if I have problems, I have problems. There's nothing that I can do. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again shortly. See ya. I forgot about these lifts. Whoops.